Welcome to English and Technology. I am Toluwani. In this channel, I create videos on English grammar and creative writing that will be good for your lessons. I also create videos on technology tips and tricks that could help you in your career. Please subscribe to this channel for you to get more videos from me. In this lesson today, we are looking at article writing. Article writing. We are learning to achieve three things today majorly. We are learning to describe what an article is, and we're learning to highlight the features, mention the features of a good written article, and also you should be able to create your own article after this video. What is an article? It's a long piece of writing that gives facts and expresses personal opinions. I want you to know that it's a non-fiction writing. Non-fiction means it's a work that you do by giving real information. You write in details, you give real information about the topic you are discussing. Please note that it's not a work where you give imaginations or you present imaginary characters like fables and so on. Here in article, you give real information about things around us or about things that you want people to know about. For the purpose, please know that it depends on the audience. Your audience means your readers. So your readers determines the content you build in your work. For instance, if you're writing for newspapers, please know that you have a very large audience to catch. But if you're writing for a school, for a company, or for any other purpose, please know that your work will be determined by the kind of people that you know will read your work. Basically, an article awakens the reader's minds to the facts and information given. It simply means that your article is to call the attention of the readers to the points you're discussing and the information you have in your work. Now let's look at the article writing's ingredients. So what are the ingredients now? Now when I say ingredients, I don't mean the pepper, the tomato you see here. Come on, no, I'm actually talking about the features. So the features here means the characteristics or the items that you put together to make your article a fantastic one. The first thing is the title. Please make sure that your title is not so long a letter. Instead, make it short, catchy, and connected to the idea or the central point you're discussing. The next thing is your name or the writer's name. Please write the name in full. Your name and your surname will be fine. Now, the main work has started here. That's where you put your introduction as your P1. Introduction here, what do? You talk about the general knowledge or the general view about the topic you're discussing. Here, you don't talk about your point. No. You only give general knowledge, you may give definition of terms or general view of people about what you're discussing. That's what you do in introduction. Your main point will start from paragraph 2. That's your first point here, and that's your P2. So you do that in your second paragraph as your P2. You talk about the first point, you explain with examples and details. Then you go to the paragraph 3, that's where you talk about the second point here. So you go about your second point, you explain with details and examples and illustrations and everything you want to say about your second point. Under your paragraph 3, then you move to your paragraph 4. Your paragraph 4 is your third point, and you do the same with details as well. Then you go to your final paragraph. So please, you may continue to paragraph 4, 5, 6, 7 before conclusion, please. Okay, so before conclusion, you can just have more paragraphs before you conclude. It means you still have more points to discuss as your paragraph 5. You can have more points to discuss as your paragraph 6, and so on till you get your final conclusion. I'm using P1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because in this demo, I'm going to use just 5 paragraphs here. So you can have more depending on your creativity and how much you want to work on. So, but just know that this is the structure before you present your work. So for paragraph 2, 3, 4, and more, before you get to your final conclusion, please know that you are to give facts about the topic or about the issue you're discussing. You write the causes, you write the effect. You also give examples to support your work. At this point, I will need to give you this tip. To make your work rich, please give adjectives and adverbs, as many as possible, to make your work rich. Let's look at the format or the layout of an article now. When I say format or the layout, I mean the way it should be presented in the pages of your work. So the first thing is your title. Make it centralized. I mean, it should be at the center of the page. Okay, it might not be totally accurately at the center, but please have a way to make sure that it's not tilting towards the far left or the far right. You may underline or not. I also want to advise that you write your title in capital letters. That makes it standard and generally acceptable as a title. You may need to put your name and your surname. You should even put your name and your surname because an article is considered to be a formal write-up. So you should use your formal name, which is your name and your surname. You need to underline as well. Then you go to your first paragraph here, that's your introduction. Then you go to your second paragraph as your supporting details 1. Then you go to the next paragraph, that's your third paragraph for your point 2, where you explain into details and examples. You do the same thing for paragraph 3, where you have, you do the same thing for paragraph 4. This is paragraph 1, introduction, paragraph 2.1, paragraph 3.2, paragraph 4 is point 3. You may have paragraph 5 for more points, paragraph 6, 7, 8, as many as you want for different points that you want to explain into details with examples and illustrations. Then you come to your final paragraph, and that's where you talk about your conclusion. Please take note, for this format here, we have the name immediately after the title. Okay, it's tilted towards the right hand corner at the top. Please know that you can as well have the same style, but the difference here can be you have the name at the bottom here, still towards the far right hand corner as well, at the bottom now. So you can have it either here, immediately after the title, tilting towards the right hand corner at the top, or you do it, you put your name and your surname when you're done with your work at the bottom, finally at the bottom, then you put it there and you have your name and your surname towards the right hand corner as well. Okay, now let's practice now. So we are using this question here just as a demo, okay? Please know that you can definitely use this as a guide to do your own, depending on the topic you're working on. So here, write an article for publication in the school magazine on education and its importance. So the first thing you need to do is your pre-essay exercise. And when you want to do that, start with identifying the keywords in your target question or the target thing you're working on. So what are the keywords here? Article, meaning I'm not going to write a story, I'm not going to write a letter, I'm not going to write a poem. It's an article that I want to do. The next keyword I found here is education, and another key point I find here is importance. So these are the guides for me on what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to my P1, now my paragraph 1. I will talk about imagination of the world without education. This is what I would develop and talk about in my introduction. Then I go to my P2. Then I will talk about education begins from home. It gives better chances and opportunity. This is what I'm going to explain in my paragraph 2. And my paragraph 3, I will talk about balanced diet, how education is helping someone to know the right food to eat at the right time for healthier living. My paragraph 4, I will talk about modern technology, how education has given birth to modern technology as we are all enjoying it today. And my final paragraph is where we talk about the need of education every day and every time. Okay, so please, if you are writing manually, what I mean by manually is you are writing with your pen or your pencil, you're writing with your hand on a book, please don't forget to use the writing rules. Okay, so the writing rules, this is what I have as the writing rules. I always give this to my students. So start every sentence with a capital letter and end every sentence with a full stop. Then use question mark if the statement, if it's a question you are presenting, and if you are presenting an exclamation or interjection statement, so please make sure that you use exclamation mark. Then you write neatly in good handwriting. So this is just for those that want to write manually. But if you want to type your work, you still need to pay attention to the beginning of every sentence with full stop, beginning of every sentence with capital letters and ending it with a full stop. Okay, so please, before I go ahead, if you like these beautiful, colorful 3D shapes you see here, please, and you like to create something like this, I actually did all this by myself. If you want to do something like this, it's very simple and easy. Please check the link down below this video. Then you can get the link on how I created this. You can learn from that as well. All right, so now let's look at the sample now, a sample for an article. So this is the topic here. It's in capital letters. Like I said, I always advise you write your titles in capital letters all through. You may underline, you may not. Then you go by your name and your surname. You underline that as well. Then your first paragraph, your second paragraph, that's your first point. The next point here, the next point here. So you keep building your points in different paragraphs until you get to the end of your work. So please, I will say at this point that please don't copy this. In case you want to work on the importance of education, you don't need to copy this word for word. You can just be creative and do something unique for yourself. Please, I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you so much.